Why do your feather sticks suck? Well, we all go through this phase of learning, right? A lot of the reasons could be the type of wood you're using, the technique you're using, and of course, just good old-fashioned what you need is practice. Now, an ideal piece of wood to make feather sticks is you're looking at about 2 to 3 inches in diameter, about 12 to 14 inches in length. You can cut this down, split it in half, either 2 to 4 sections, thereabouts. And you want a good area of straight stick as much as you can with as few knots as you can. Now, if you can find that in your area, find that regularly, rock on. For me personally, that is tough to find. So what we'll do out here today is actually kind of go through the process of what I do to get feather sticks, and also to help you guys get some good feather sticks. This video is intended for those who are just kind of starting out. One of the first things to do, gather up some different species of tree, play with them, see what gives you better feather sticks. Now, you don't have to be a tree expert to do this. Simply use common sense, go out, this tree looks different than that one, and then grab some sticks from those trees. What you want is some standing deadwood, and again, 12 to 14 inches, 2 to 3 inches in diameter. Sometimes I can't find that. That's the reality of the places I go in. I can't find that, what's going to make that perfect feather stick. So I just have to make do with what I've got. So what I have here is I've got 3 different species of trees. 2 of these I've used quite extensively. 1 of them I have not. So we'll get to see how that reacts and if it would make a good feather stick. To begin this process, what we'll do is we'll just try to split this one down the middle as much as we can. This isn't as thick as I would like, but like I said, it is what it is, and we'll just have to deal with it as best we can. Actually, I'm going to split it this way because there's some natural splits that are already occurring, so we can utilize those. There we go. And sometimes too, what I find is it doesn't split right down the center. There you go, dog. Okay, now we can start looking at our feather stick. So the way these will work is depending on the grain setup, it'll give you good feather sticks, it may not. Sometimes depending on the age of the tree, that could have a factor in it, especially if it's all rotten and punky. You want to stay away from those as much as you can. So what I've done by splitting this down the center is I've created a sharp edge right here, and of course on the other side. That's where I'm going to start these feather sticks. Now, another part of making feather sticks is technique. Again, a lot of that is just practice. Some people will just do this, and what I mean by this is just using their arm. Other people will actually lock their elbow and then use their whole body to go down and make the feather stick like this. And actually, it feels awkward at first, but it really controls the feather stick and allows you to get a good one. So that's one method that you might want to try. Another thing I'm looking for when I do this is I want to make this as long as possible. Again, sometimes I have a hard time because I've got knots everywhere. It's not the ideal world that I live in. This one looks pretty good. So I'm going to try to start up here at the top. I'm going to lock my elbow, and I'm just going to start going down and getting really nice curls on this one, which does not surprise me. So there's the first one right there. You can see nice curls coming off of this one. So if I'm out here experimenting, early indications are that this is going to be a really good feather stick. Now, if I'm dropping some of these feathers to begin with, not a big deal. That's going to happen. And at the beginning, you know, this isn't a race. You're just developing some technique. You're getting a feel for the wood. You don't have to go fast unless that's something that is important to you. Now this actually, I'm going to exaggerate, it dips in, comes out, and goes back in. So it's not a very straight stick, but I'm making it work. So I just lost that one. I'm not going to worry about it. Now as you do this, as you start shaving, you create sharp angles from your shavings. So that's what I'm going to try and be working off from each time, is those sharp angles. And I'm going to plane this out right here just to make it a little bit easier, try to get rid of some of that belly in there, because it's giving me some problems now. I had to remake some of these because my dog came over and chewed them off, but for experimentation purposes, this gives you an idea of this species of tree makes really good feather sticks. Here's the second species that we selected. So we'll just start with this one, kind of get an idea. What is it going to tell us? And this one actually, I can tell it's a little bit wet. So if I were actually making feather sticks or going to start a fire, I might want to find a different one. So working with the second species we had available, this one is making pretty good feather sticks, albeit the first one seemed a little easier to work with, but this one's not bad and is really producing some good feather sticks. Now here's a technique you can do when you get towards the bottom. If you just turn your blade like this, then it forces the feathers down and gives you a little more room to work with follow-ups. Sometimes what I try and do too, because a lot of times what you'll do when you get down towards the bottom is boom, you do that and you cut them off, which is fine. At the end, I'll just pick them up and I'll just kind of interweave them back in so I can utilize the full feather stick. Or what I'll do sometimes to try and avoid that is when I'm coming down and I get towards the end, I dig in just a little bit, and that helps prevent a lot of the cutoff. Now you want to play around with different techniques. Some people, they like just to go straight down like this. Sometimes I like to start on the blade kind of high and then slice down, so, right? So what you're doing is you're starting with this point of the blade and you're just working down, so you're actually going to slice down the blade. He's a good dog. Good dog. You can see here I'm going to start kind of towards the tip of the blade, not all the way, and then work your way down. But what you might find is you just have more control if you stay with this section of the blade. Play with different things to see what works best for you. So I'm not going to go any further on this one. This gives you a really good idea that yes, this species is going to make good feather sticks as well. But while I'm thinking about it, I do want to mention one more thing. Is if you actually put the blade with tip facing up like this instead of tip facing down, you will actually send the feathers a different direction. See how it's curling towards the camera on that one? Now if I take see how it's facing on this side over here? Now if I put the tip and go down, it's actually going to change the direction and put it over here. You can see already it's going to the other side. See, those are the differences right there. There's this one and this guy right here. Here's the last species that I gathered to take a look at. This is the one that I haven't ever played with as far as feather sticks go. So already I can tell you it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I've got a knot right here. I've got a branch that was coming out right here from this initial branch, and it's got a big curve to it, but honestly it was the straightest stick I could find given this species. It's kind of a curvy one. So again, you just kind of have to make do with what you have sometimes, and it might just getting it going here. I can tell you already that this one, there we go, is probably the hardest out of the three. But a lot of that could be, the others are just straighter sticks, so easier to deal with. Because I am getting some good curls. But again, if it's a species that likes to grow on all sorts of different angles, then finding a good stick makes it a little more challenging. So up in this area, while initial indications looks like it'll make good feather sticks, what I can't do on this one in particularly, at least the stick, right, is maximize my length. So from here I'm using about 6 inches of the stick to get feathers, whereas this one, you know, I'm using, I don't know, 10 inches maybe. So I'm getting a lot more bang for my buck than I am with this stick. So far this seems to be making really good feathers, nice curls there. And a lot of this experimentation is not one and done, meaning I come up here today and form my end-all opinion on what works best. But it's a process through a series of visits and playing around to determine. And maybe, dog, come on now. And maybe this is all I have available. So I have to just deal with it. And this is the type of feather sticks I'm going to be getting. So there's the feather sticks. Again, my dog took a big bite out of this one, so that's what's left of it. But that gives you an idea of what you can do in your area, is go up there, grab the different species, play around with them, see what gives you the straightest sticks, less knots, and then what actually produces good feathers. Of course, this goes without saying, I don't think I've said this yet, is start with a good sharp knife. That will make all the difference in your feather sticks. So this one seems to be the best out of all of them. This one was pretty good, but again, one of the problems with this one is it wasn't particularly straight. That's going to make a big difference in how your feather sticks turn out. So there you have it, guys. Hope this helped you out, give you some ideas of what you can do in your areas. I can tell you exactly what species of trees work well, but that's just for my area. So you've got to go out and experiment in your own area and have fun doing it.